Oh, hey there, fire signs. How are y'all doing? Welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, please like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Be a friendly little YouTuber. Smash all the buttons, ring the bells, all that good stuff. Anyways, we did a Hoodoo Tarot warning message reading on my channel today. You guys were the last set of signs to get put up, but certainly not the least. This is your extended version of that reading, so if you haven't caught the original, please go over to SouthernStrega Tarot, my main channel, and check that out before you listen to these extended messages. We're going to start with Aries. If you guys want a personal reading, or if you need to find the original reading, all that info is in the description box below for you guys. All right, so let's get started. Aries, you guys are first. The court card that you guys pulled for your reading was the Knight of Wands, your own energy. It's the Son of Sticks in this deck. The plant associated with it is burdock. The image shows the Son of Sticks showing off his six-fingered left hand as he triumphantly holds up a stick with his right one. He is not ashamed of the fact that he is a polydactyl. In fact, he's proud of it. Polydactylism, dark Mongolian spots, webbed fingers and toes, and being born with a cowl over one's face were the physical signs that indicated a natural talent for root working. The Son of Sticks' ability to do a highly effective cross-working hexes is evident by the fact that the extra digit is on his left hand. The left hand has long been associated with the deeper mysteries, the devil or black magic, depending on who you ask. The salamander and red pygmy rattlesnake symbolize the sun's power. It says the Son of Sticks represents youthful vigor. On the positive side, he is loyal, idealistic, creative, enthusiastic, solution-based, fearless, independent, and loves to learn. On the negative side, he is unreliable, pushy, indecisive, confused, selfish, lazy, or a real downer who always prefers to discuss and emphasize anything unpleasant. In a reading, if he doesn't represent a literal person with these qualities, then he represents these attributes, okay? And then for your major arcana cards, you guys had Judgment. All right. Which is called Dem Bones in this deck, all right? The Bible verse associated with that is John 7:24. It says, "Do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment." The plant is Carolina buckthorn. The image says a woman puts her hand over her mouth in shock at what the bones on the table reveal to her. Astroglomancy, meaning divination using bones or dice, was practiced by indigenous American and African people. Divination with bones requires the reader to associate different meanings with each bone based on where and how they land. The bones of chickens and cats were the most commonly used, but other small and medium-sized animals were also acceptable. Contrary to popular belief, the choice of which animal to use was strictly up to each individual root worker. A set of dem bones can include not only the remains of an animal, but also other items such as keys, seashells, and crystals. Like other forms of divination, all the items in a reader's set had clear associations, but it's a reader's innate talent that determines the accuracy. Meaning, when them bones appear in a reading, you are being reminded that it's time to focus on what you need rather than what you want. Most likely, you will have to make some tough choices, but if you're willing to put your ego aside and do what you have to do, the best possible outcome is guaranteed. Them bones may be reminding you that people are going to talk about you no matter what you do, so make sure that you remain in alignment with your goals, dreams, and aspirations. Acknowledge that no one escapes judgment, even if the judge is oneself. Them bones could also indicate that it is time for a more in-depth reading concerning a matter of great importance. Right here for you if you need that. Book that personal. This reading will provide relief and solutions to your problems. If you received dem bones in a reading, consider the following. It may be time for an honest self-assessment. It says, what is your reputation? Are you still in alignment with it? If you want a fresh start, start fresh. The neutral position is no longer an option. And do others need to know where you stand on that issue? If so, stop stalling and tell them. All right. Then you switch all the way back over to the Fool, all right, which is the free man in this deck. It says John 8:32, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. A man is the plant is Jimson weed. The image says a man is walking away from the tomb of Joshua John Ward of Georgetown County, South Carolina. Ward was the largest American slaveholder, dubbed the King of the Rice Planters. The man carrying a mason jar, he's carrying a mason jar filled with dirt. Who is this young man? Did he know Ward personally? Why did he risk being prosecuted for trespassing or witchcraft? Does he have a purpose at all, or is the man just plain crazy? It says freedom. Is it a state of mind, a state of being, or is it both? The free man doesn't think about it any more than a fish contemplates water. The free man isn't deep because depth, by definition, prohibits unrestricted movement upon the surface. The free man was probably deep prior to the outset of his journey into the unknown, the unfathomable, and the unpredictable, or he wouldn't have had the wisdom to know that the concept of safety is an illusion anyways. The free man has seen many people get beaten by life, or in fact had no life at all because they were afraid to take a few risks. He has heard many people say one day regarding their dreams and heard too few numb todays. He has conversed with talented acquaintances that felt more comfortable dwelling on abstractions and distractions than investing in their potential. The free man is tired of being so deep, so calculating, so restricted, and so dead. The meaning of this card, it says the free man is card 0 because 0 is not a natural number, since most people normally don't start counting with 0. Likewise, the free man doesn't count in situations that demand subservience to conventional wisdom or the status quo. The free man is on a whole other level because he genuinely feels that common sense is for common people. He doesn't think that he's better than anybody. He just has accepted that new grass doesn't grow as lushly on beaten paths. The free man is definitely foolish to most people who encounter him because he appears to be so reckless and so immature. But such assessments are only relevant when gain or loss is the focus. The free man doesn't exist in a space where those thoughts flourish. He is more interested in attainment of wisdom by following his passions and what he knows to be true, wherever that may lead. The free man has what every great root worker has always had: the courage to follow their calling despite the possibly dire consequences, and unshakable faith that has made courage possible. If you receive the free man in a reading, consider the following. What is the best thing that could happen if things go your way? What is the worst thing that could happen if they don't? Can you live without ever knowing? Have you received an opportunity that you fantasized about but you're afraid to take? Where are you headed? Are you really that deep? Are you really a free spirit, or are you just a jerk or a rebel without a cause? Have you considered the financial or emotional cost of attaining that goal? It doesn't matter whether you like surprises, they're on their way. Are you really as innocent as you profess to be? Has lingering self-doubt caused your boredom and dissatisfaction? The new guy or gal situation isn't who or what they appear to be. Maybe you need to loosen up. Let's go crazy. Let's go nuts. Are you living in the present and follow your bliss? All right. And then you had the Sun card as your final major arcana today. That card is a Big Mama, the Sun. I am reminded of your sincere faith, a faith that has dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and now I am sure dwells in you as well. That is the 2 Timothy verse 1:5. Plant is the sunflower. Big Mama is holding a plate of homemade cornbread with the shining sun brightly behind her. She wears a skeleton key as a necklace to symbol all of her encompassing wisdom. Big Mama is a term of endearment for the matriarch of one's family. It is acknowledgement of her wisdom, strength, authority, leadership, skills, and ability to nurture multiple generations. Traditionally, all elders of both genders were to be respected for those qualities, but no one is bigger than Big Mama. As the caregiver of so many children and the transmitter of family history, lore, and spirituality, she is the family's jewel and guiding light. Today, Big Mama's role in many families is not as prominent as it used to be before desegregation. As Black Americans increasingly interacted with ethnic groups that were more youth-oriented and patriarchal, the ethical, hierarchical, and conceptual foundation of the community started to shift. Also adding to this alteration of thought was the movement away from the church. It was there that the values of the forebears were reinforced, celebrated, and discussed. Often it was your Big Mama or someone else's that you knew well or were kin to who also held the prestigious title of Mother of the Church. Like the sun, the matriarch is a warm, centralized force without whom growth would be impossible. When you receive her in a reading, you better believe that no matter how dark it is now, the light is coming and everything is going to be all right. Big Mama may also be speaking about being willing and able to share your glory, your light, and your power with others. This is not the time to lay low. This is the time to shine. If you receive her in a reading, consider the following. Do you fear being brilliant or successful? What is being highlighted? It's okay to be the center of attention sometimes. What does enlightenment mean to you? Take a personal day from work. Who are the important players in the situation? Am I exhibiting a positive attitude? Reputations matter. It's time to celebrate. Confidence is the best cosmetic. And what do you need to do to look and feel your best? All right. And then for your minors, you have the 10 of Cups, the 2 of Wands, and the Ace of Swords. The 2 of Wands is also known as the 2 of Sticks. The plant is comfrey. The image says the man in the card depicted is Dr. Sandy Jenkins, the root worker who gave Frederick Douglass a root to protect him from being abused by a sadistic overseer. Douglass was never bothered by the man again. Here, Sandy is shown gazing at the St. Miles River in Maryland. The meaning of this card in the upright positive position means partnerships, planning for the future, speaking your mind, progress, new inventions, ambition, being unafraid to go against the grain, deciding to travel or more overseas, and the power to persuade and influence people. In the reversed negative position, it means canceled plans, prolonged waiting, deportation, feeling stuck in a rut, feeling tortured by a sense of mediocrity, fear of change, and suddenly being removed or replaced. All right, and then we have the 10 of Cups, which is the 10 of Baskets in this deck. The plant is dandelion. It says a happy grill master and his family enjoy barbecue and moonshine infused with dandelion root. Dandelion root aids with digestion. They're going to need it. Meaning in the positive, upright, happy families, spiritual contentment, consensus, harmonious relationships, blessings, shared values, friends who never let you down, reunions, stability, soulmates, camaraderie, unity, celebrations with loved ones, and ideal domestic situations. Negative position in the reverse, family disputes, losing your home, estranged spouses, family secrets, broken homes, toxic relatives, abusive parents, empty nest syndrome, unhappy childhood, homesickness, instability, rebellious teens, and custody battles. And then you finish off solid with the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Knives. The plant is ashwagandha. The image says a hand clasps an illuminated dagger with a chicken foot and 2 sclerotic rings from an owl dangling from it. The chicken foot symbolizes protection and the revealing of hidden enemies. The sclerotic rings symbolize foresight and making wise choices. In the upright positive position, it means facing fears, logic, triumph over adversity, objectivity, intellectuals, mind power, breakthroughs, getting to the point, clarity, determination, decision makers, the power of words, seeing through illusions, analysis, quick-witted people, justice, surgery, critical thinkers, authority, calling it as you see it, and accepting the truth even when it hurts. Negative is inappropriate speech, the thought police, clouded judgment, psychological operations, self-mutilation, excessive force, inability to concentrate, domineering people, bullies, memory loss, being indecisive, getting cursed out, problems with the law, getting cut off, lack of ideas, and stupid people. All right, Aries, that was y'all's bonus reading. Y'all, my throat hurts so bad. I've been reading all day. All right, so there it is. If you guys were into it and you want to book a personal, my email is in the description box below. And again, if you need to find that original, that's down there as well. So let's move on to Leo. All right, Leo, you guys also had the Knight of Wands in the center of your reading, all right? So let me reread that. I was going to copy and paste, but it's like somebody was complaining that it was all glitchy last time. And I'm like, man, I'm not trying to read these things over and over and over. All right, Leo, Son of Sticks, the Knight of Wands. Plant, burdock. The image, the Son of Sticks, shows off his 6-fingered left hand as he triumphantly holds up a stick with his right one. He is not ashamed of being a polydactyl. In fact, he's proud of it. Polydactylism, dark Mongolian spots, webbed fingers and toes, and being born with a cowl over one's face were the physical signs that indicated a natural talent for root working. The Son of Sticks' ability to do highly effective cross-working, hexes, is evident by the fact that the extra digit is on his left hand. The left hand has long been associated with the deeper mysteries, the devil, or black magic, depending on who you ask. The salamander and red pygmy rattlesnake symbolize the sun's power, meaning the Son of Sticks represents youthful vigor. On the positive side, he is loyal, idealistic, creative, enthusiastic, solution-based, fearless, independent, and loves to learn. On the negative side, he is unreliable, pushy, indecisive, confused, selfish, lazy, or a real downer who always prefers to discuss and emphasize anything unpleasant. In a reading, if he doesn't represent a literal person with these qualities, then he represents those attributes, okay? And then you had the Chariot card, Railroad Bill in this deck. It says, with God we shall do valiantly. It is he who will tread down our foes. Psalm 108:13. The plant is maca. The image, Railroad Bill, is waving at the people cheering for him in the distance. Railroad Bill, birth date unknown, death date 1896, was a laborer with no clear past, as his name, place of birth, and many other details about his life remain a mystery. What we do know is that the authorities claimed he was a man named Morris Slater, and we know the hell that he put them through. It all started in 1894, while Bill was employed as a turpentine worker in Bluff Springs, Florida, when after an altercation, he exchanged gunshots with a deputy. The cause of the row has been lost to time, but it was from that day on that he became an outlaw. Bill committed train robberies and engaged in fatal gunfights with lawmen and bounty hunters who traveled from all over the country to collect the substantial bounty on his head. Bill usually rode along the Louisville and Nashville Railroad, the L&N, in southern Alabama. Naturally, the daily reports of a Negro desperado gunning down white men sold a lot of newspapers, and it didn't take long before a folk hero akin to Robin Hood was born. According to members of the black community at the time, Bill used his spiritual powers as a conjure man to avoid capture by transforming himself into a fox to throw dogs off his trail. He became the personification of the clever trickster who appears in both indigenous American and African folklore, so much so that his legend continued to grow well into the 20th century. There are many songs about Railroad Bill by artists such as Riley Puckett, Vera Ward Hall, Gid Tanner, Thomas Dorsey, William Bennett, Jack Elliott, Bill Williams, Joan Baez, and others. In 1981, Bill was resurrected and cheered by the working class once again when the musical play Railroad Bill was produced by New York City's Labor Theater, one that was founded specifically to attract proletariats. Meaning, when Railroad Bill turns up, you're being encouraged to increase your efforts to ensure victory. It's a reminder of the characteristics that are required to win: confidence, determination, discipline, persistence, and assertiveness. Now is the time to adopt a take-no-prisoners attitude toward anybody or anything that attempts to get in your way. If you are not aggressive or ambitious by nature, then this card is warning you that you must toughen up or risk the loss of what you worked so hard for. If you receive him in a reading, consider the following. If you don't plan to win the game, then why are you playing? Success is the best revenge. Get rid of any people or situations that are distracting you from your mission now. Only self-confidence and a strong will to survive will get you through this. It's my way or the highway. What competition? Know thyself to propel thyself. It's called self-esteem for a reason. Stop waiting for others to cheer you on. Domination happens. I'm allergic to humble pie, so you can have it. What is the victorious outcome that you're seeking? Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, it's an ego thing. I ain't sorry, and you can do it, but will you? Okay? And then you had a very opposing energy after the Chariot, which is like the fastest energy. And you now have the slowest energy, which is the Hangman, or Gullah Jack in this deck. It says, the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. That is Proverbs 16:9. The plant is hemp. The image says, Gullah Jack has a noose around his neck, but his face is serene. He has a Congo cosmogram as his third eye. Gullah Jack, birth date unknown, death date 1822, was a Bakongo prisoner of war who was sold into slavery in Zanzibar. He was eventually sent to Charleston, South Carolina, and purchased by a man named Paul Pritchard. Gullah Jack had a reputation as a powerful root worker with a particular talent for making protective amulets. This may have been one of the reasons Telemach, aka Denmark Vesey, recruited him to plan a revolt against consisting of only African-born men against the colonists. Gullah Jack instructed the rebels to eat a special diet of corn and peanuts the day of the attack and provided them with crab claws as talismans to keep them safe. He also threatened to put the root on any other slaves who spoke of the plan. Unfortunately for the rebels, the plan was betrayed and the revolt was suppressed. All of the plotters, including Gullah Jack, were sentenced to death, but not before Gullah Jack used mysterious hand gestures, presumably to curse all of their oppressors. Gullah Jack was hanged on July 2nd, 1822. When he appears in a reading, you're most likely feeling stuck or severely limited. This card asks that you endure any discomfort, pain, or humiliation nobly until it's time to get moving again. In the meantime, there is nothing you can do except be patient. This would be an excellent time to take up a course of study, practice meditation, read philosophy, and pray. Ask for the wisdom to know exactly what to do and how to get it done once your life is no longer on pause. Whenever you do, don't try to resist or force things to proceed prematurely. This card is a reminder to be man or woman enough to accept any consequences of your actions. If the current stalemate is the direct result of your own ignorance or bad choices, then tough shit. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. You'll be free once the necessary lessons have been learned. Gullah Jack could also be trying to tell you that sometimes the sacrifice of your own desires for the good and the whole of is the right thing to do. If you receive him in a reading, consider the following. Wait, pause and reflect. It's okay to be vulnerable sometimes. Accept it. This is just the way it has to be for now. What will it take for you to just let it go? It's okay to change your mind. If the sacrifice is worth it, then what are you waiting for? Now it's the time to put the needs of others first, okay? And then you have basically a similar energy to him, which is the Hermit, which is Dr. Grant in this deck. It says, but he, Jesus, would withdraw to desolate places and pray. Luke 5:16. The plant is duckweed. The image shows Dr. Grant in solitude picking herbs and roots in the swamps of Louisiana. He was a Protestant conjure doctor from New Orleans. Unfortunately, the details of his life are unknown. By the time Zora Neale Hurston interviewed Dr. Grant and others in the 30s, many conjure doctors were using herbs and other supplies from catalogs. Dr. Grant, however, was a proud swamper who preferred to do things the old-fashioned way by gathering what he needed in the wild. Dr. Grant reminded Hurston of the few critical but often forgotten lessons. 1. Believe in one's limitless power. 2. Petition spirits unequal to man. 3. Know more than one way to get a job done. And 4. Acknowledge that no two people or jobs are alike because a remedy that works for one person may not work for another. Dr. Grant was highly sought out for his abilities and in some cases was paid more than $100, an exorbitant amount of money for that time. When Dr. Grant appears in a reading, it may indicate the necessity for some time alone to recharge. Specifically, it may recommend solitude in nature to reflect and listen. This is more important now than ever as we are constantly accessible to others via technology. While this may be convenient, it is also a tremendous burden as we have little time to clear our heads and just be without earbuds blasting music in our ears, a zillion advertisements or logos flashing before our eyes, or social media alerts pinging for us to engage with the world again. They won't stop, so you must make a conscious decision once in a while to make it stop. Let's be clear. This card is not about just sitting in the park for a few minutes looking at a pretty tree, flowers, or a squirrel before you get back online. No, it's about considering the essence of that tree, those flowers, and the squirrel, and how you're connected to them. It's about perceiving the interrelationships of all things to the other and the extraction of power from fundamental reality. For it is from the comprehension of source that knowledge may be accessed and distilled. Remember, if you take something from Mother Nature, don't forget to give something biodegradable to her and her creatures in return. This card may also indicate that you're seeking knowledge and you're ready to take things to the next level. It's time to seek guidance from a worthy teacher. If you receive Dr. Grant in a reading, consider the following. Do you understand the importance of alone time? Maybe it would be better to stay home tonight. Silence is golden. Focus on finding out the truth. Be in the world, not of it. Pay more attention to your guru or spiritual counselor. Did you really consider the advice you received about that issue? It's okay to take a break from him, her, them, that, and to reevaluate things. It says meditate more and follow your inner voice, okay? And then for your minor arcana, you had the Seven of Swords, the Four of Wands, and the Four of Pentacles, all right? So let's see what those say. The Four of Wands, the Four of Sticks, the plant is Angelica. It says the happy couple is planting their baby's placenta with angelica flowers beneath a lush crepe myrtle tree in the hopes of attracting good fortune to the child. Positive, a cause for celebration, a special event, relaxation, laying down roots, feeling blessed, harmonious interactions, taking things to the next level, letting your hair down, prosperity, rites of passage, family reunions, freedom, security, teamwork, making the dream work, something wonderful to look forward to, feeling good about yourself, and dreams coming true. Negative, conflict, minor delays, family dysfunction, unconstructive criticism, canceled plans, instability, division in the community, and feeling unwelcome. All right. And Virgo had that same card, and I believe Pisces did too, possibly. All right, and then you had the Seven of Swords and the Four of Coins. So let's see what those say. Seven of Knives, which is the Seven of Swords. The plant is dogwood. It says a housewife is cooking a meal for her husband, but before she serves it, she must remove all of the black cock feathers that she placed in the soup to keep him faithful. It's a common practice for women to use menstrual blood and for men to use semen for the same purposes. Positive meaning with the upright, strategic planning, a sincere apology, constructive criticism, reparations, confessions, lone wolves, and turning over a new leaf. Negative in the reverse, cheaters, thieves, spies, saboteurs, victimization, hidden agendas, conspiracies, betrayal, deception, con artists, liars, imposters, sneaking away, users, shameful secrets, dishonorable discharge, unethical behavior, and people who pretend to be your friend. And then to wrap your reading up, the Four of Coins, which is the Four of Pentacles. The plant is marigold. The image says a man uses a dowsing rod to search for gold. He is using pine crosses, goose feathers, and brimstone as charms to aid him. It was common for whites to utilize the aid of root workers to find buried treasure. Meaning, positive upright, financial security, material gains, sound investments, inheritance, careful budgeting, living within one's means, conservatism, and saving for a rainy day. Negative reverse position, greed, hoarders, selfishness, wastefulness, obsessive couponing, clingy people, scarcity consciousness, penny pinchers, controlling personalities, and fear of change. Whew, I'm not gonna make it, Leo. My voice. Y'all send donations for the bottled water fund. I say it's running out. All right, Leo, that was your bonus extended reading. Go check out the other channel for the original one and hit up that description box with my email address if you guys would like a personal reading. That was it for you guys, Leo. Catch you next time. Love you. Bye. And now on to Sagittarius. Last but not least, all right? Your court card was the Queen of Swords, aka the Mother of Knives. The plant is rue. The image says the Mother of Knives is depicted here as a member of two prestigious secret societies, the Grand United Order of Oddfellows and the Order of the Eastern Star. In addition to the church, mutual aid, secret societies, and fraternal and sororal organizations were the backbone of Black American communities between the 18th and 20th centuries. Unlike women of other races, Black women were welcome to participate and were respected as powerful leaders and influencers of many of these organizations. Here, the Mother of Knives is a powerful bibliomancer who uses the Bible as a guide, meaning the Mother of Knives is the archetype of the warrior queen. On the positive side, she is perceptive, analytical, forthright, witty, independent, resilient, highly intelligent, deep, and sets clear boundaries. On the negative side, she is a perfectionist, cold-hearted, aggressive, and bitchy. In a reading, if she doesn't represent a literal person with these qualities, then she represents these attributes, okay? And then you guys, for your majors, had Temperance, the Emperor, and the Devil, all right? So let's start with the Emperor, since he would be first. The Emperor is John Horse in this deck. It says, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in abundance of counselors, there is safety. Proverbs 11:14. The plant associated with this card is the cypress. The image shows John Horse seated calmly on his throne. He has a rifle strapped to him. He's clutching a knife in one hand, and the other hand is balled into a tight fist. He's ready for anything. However, John's most powerful weapon, arguably, is the prophet Abiaka, who is busy summoning spirits to keep the community safe. Abiaka's clan totem, the Black Panther, is poised for a vicious attack against anyone who dares to challenge them. John Horse, 1812 to 1882, aka Juan Caballo, was born into slavery in Florida. Not much is known about his early life, but he became a leader of the Seminole Indians and participated in the Second Seminole War, which prior to the war in Vietnam was the only loss by the United States Army. In addition, in 1849, John Horse led the largest escape of enslaved people to freedom in U.S. history. He also founded free settlements for the runaways in Oklahoma and Mexico. By the time of his death, John Horse had fought against the French, the Americans, and hostile Indians working in conjunction with the colonists. He avoided slave catchers, 3 wars, and several assassination attempts. There are a few. These are but a few of this warrior's outstanding accomplishments. He defended free black settlements on 3 different frontiers and was said to love children, whiskey, and his noble white steed American. The man who had been credited as John Horse's spiritual guide and mentor was a Creek medicine man and prophet named Abiaka Hadjo, 1760 to 1860, aka Sam Jones. Though Abiaka was not as well known to the public as John Horse, he was no less important to maintaining the cohesion of the Seminole people. In fact, without his determination as a leader, many women, children, and elders would have been slaughtered. The Seminoles would not have had a band in Florida this very day if it were not for him. Abiaka's name is translated as crazy rattlesnake in English, but the Creek word Abiaka is said to mean heap at the root. In the immortal words of Morpheus from the Matrix, fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony. It says, when he appears in a reading, you're being advised to take charge of whatever is going on in your life. This is not the time for self-doubt or weakness of any kind, for if you indulge those emotions too long, you are certain to lose more than you can imagine. The odds may be tough, but John Horse teaches us that no matter how great the odds are against you, victory is still achievable. When this card comes up, there is simply no other course of action but to get organized and then charge full steam ahead. However, John Horse is also reminding you that even the greatest warriors require support. He is telling you that you may increase your chance of winning by having the right spiritual teachers in your corner. If you receive him in a reading, consider the following. Effective leadership requires wise counsel and up-to-date information. Are you following the right leaders or elders at this stage in your journey? What does lineage mean to you, and do you know yours? How do you protect yourself from attacks, get organized and focused, or prepare for certain defeat? It says, does this plan have a solid foundation? Do you have a problem with authority for its own sake? It says the law is on its way. It also represents the system. Stick to your regimen for best results. If you value comfort over security, things are about to get really uncomfortable. Stop whining and fight. Every Indian wants to be the chief. And what does your father or father figure have to say about that? All right. And then you had Temperance and the Devil. Oof. The Devil in this deck is probably my favorite card. It's Miss Robinson here. It says, now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Genesis, verse 1-2. The plants are belladonna and hemlock, both poison nightshades. Miss Robinson is proudly displaying the funeral program of Reginald Patrick. Miss Robinson, birth date unknown, death date 1952, was a hoodoo from Orangeburg, South Carolina. According to the people in her small town, she was a sweet, law-abiding woman unless someone crossed her. One day after church, Miss Robinson saw a few parishioners gathered around a woman named Mrs. Patrick. As Miss Robinson walked by, Mrs. Patrick said loudly that she didn't believe root workers should be welcome in the church and that it was a bunch of made-up nonsense. Miss Robinson tried her best to ignore her until she noticed people starting to treat her differently. They were making up excuses for why she couldn't visit, and her clients started canceling appointments. It turned out that Mrs. Patrick was trying her best to destroy Miss Robinson's entire life, even though she hardly knew her. Miss Robinson finally approached Mrs. Patrick after church and told her to never speak ill about her again, or she would be sorry. Mrs. Patrick laughed and elbowed her cronies and said that would never happen, so she might as well go ahead and root her then. Oh, don't ever test the devil! She told her she was made for root working and that if she couldn't have what she loved the most, then neither would Mrs. Patrick. Mrs. Patrick howled with laughter and walked away with the other ladies, leaving Miss Robinson standing there furious. 29 days later, Mrs. Patrick's 9-year-old son, Reginald, died unexpectedly after having a cold. Everyone knew that Reginald was Mrs. Patrick's pride and joy. Not only was he her only child, she also couldn't have any more, so she was absolutely devastated by the loss. As the mourners filed out of the funeral home, Miss Robinson was seen smiling as she fanned herself with a memorial program from across the road. Mrs. Patrick, now totally broken, moved out of town the following day. When Miss Robinson appears in a reading, you may be involved in a negative situation that has the potential to become even more unpleasant, unhealthy, or dangerous. Stop it before things go too far. This card may also be trying to alert you to the fact that you have an addiction or obsession involving a person, idea, intoxicant, or object which will ultimately hurt you more than you could ever imagine. Get help if you need it. If you are engaged in a lifestyle that attracts negative, unbalanced, or violent people, now is the time to be on high alert. This card may also be a reminder to stop bullying or being abusive to others. Stop being so manipulative. Beware of liars, backbiters, syndicators, and frenemies in your midst. This is also a warning against excessive focus on worldly things, bad news, pain, suffering, and ugliness. If you receive her in a reading, consider the following. Am I feeling trapped? By whom or what? Not everyone who says they have good intentions mean it. Evil is a point of view. What did I really invite into my life when I said or did that? Don't let your mouth write a check your ass can't cash. An apology may be necessary. Maybe I have a problem. Am I ready, willing, and able to do jail time if I get caught? Things may not be as good as they seem to be. He or she may be cheating on you. Am I purposely choosing to remain ignorant because I don't want to face the truth? Perhaps no one likes to talk to me because I'm often negative, depressing, or expressing doubt. Why don't I believe in myself? And why do I expect the worst possible outcome? All right. And then you had Temperance, which is, where is that? Father Sims, Temperance. It says, who gives the ibis wisdom or gives the rooster understanding? Job 38:36. The plant is pea vine. The image shows Father Sims dressed in the purple satin robe in which he liked to work. The rooster represents him, and the two streams of water represent his baptism as a two-headed doctor, a hoodoo that does good and bad work. Father George Sims, born Joe Watson and nicknamed the Frizzly Rooster, was a preacher and root worker from New Orleans. They called him the Frizzly Rooster because many people kept at least one chicken in the backyard for the sole purpose of scratching up any roots that may have been placed there by an enemy. He had a reputation for being able to effectively place or lift curses and read anyone. Father Sims was a bit eccentric and was comfortable doing good or bad workings. He gave sermons at Myrtle Wreath Hall, and that's where his most famous student, Zora Neale Hurston, made his acquaintance. After weeks of performing superficial tasks without anything being explained to her, she was initiated by Father Sims, given the name the Boss of Candles, and finally taught the deeper mysteries. It is a common misconception that root work is never an initiatic system, because while this is the case for many, initiations are not unheard of. That is so crazy. That's like Mr. Miyagi stuff. It's like some wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. It says, when Father Sims comes up in a reading, it's asking you to review your position regarding your inquiry. If you've taken an extreme or one-sided position, now is the time to consider things from a more balanced perspective. Things do not have to be black and white, and don't force it to be. If you have been asked to compromise or cooperate, but you feel resistant to the idea, this card is a good sign that you haven't considered all of the aspects of the situation. If you've been asked to give someone an answer, don't respond until you feel more centered. To do otherwise may cause deep regret and feelings to be hurt unnecessarily. Try to be fair. It says, consider the following. What would be gained by compromising? Is it worth more than the perceived loss? Are you being fair? Sometimes less is more. Extremists never think that they're extreme. Peace is priceless. Focus on healing and recovery. An alliance is not such a bad idea. What am I bringing to the potluck dinner? Perhaps add something else to the mix. And other races, religions, and ethnic groups exist. Maybe it's time to learn more about other people. Okay? Those were your majors. And then for your minors, you had the 6 of Cups, the 5 of Cups, and the 7 of Swords. Yikes. Yikes. All right, so you had the Five of Cups. That is the Five of Baskets. The plant is St. John's wort. The image shows 3 baskets in various states of destruction. 2 remain unscathed beneath debris, despite being bent or distorted. The 2 baskets that survived whatever destroyed the other 3 represent our often untapped inner power and strength. The positive upright meaning says moving on, finally forgiving yourself, renewed hope, seeking help for emotional problems, recovery, feeling alive again, and letting go of grief, sorrow, and or disappointment. In the negative, it is brooding, mourning, loss, resentment, unwelcome change, feelings of abandonment, failure, separation, punishment, pessimism, bitterness, remorse, heartbreaking situations, and traumatic experiences. All right. And then you had the 6 of Baskets, the 6 of Cups. The plant is sugarcane. The image says a little boy and a little girl are standing in a lush sugarcane field in South Carolina. The little boy offers his crush a basket full of rice with bits of sugarcane on top to win her over. There's an old saying down south, if you can't afford to give a gal jewels, give her sweets so she'll be sweet on you. The positive meaning of this card in the upright position is rekindling an old flame, getting back together, a clear conscience, restored harmony, indulging in play, reflecting on the good old days, growing up, happy childhood memories, and people who have made their peace with the past. Negative, in the reverse, it says unhealthy obsession with the past, homesickness, feeling that you don't belong in this century, skeletons in the closet tumbling out, clinging to outdated beliefs, utter disgust with the new generation, childhood abuse, believing the best of everything has already occurred, and stuffy, joyless people. Yikes. And then we have the 7 of Swords to wrap it up. The plant is dogwood, and it says a housewife is cooking a meal for her husband, but before she serves it, she must remove all the black cock feathers that she placed in the soup to keep him faithful. It's a common practice for women to use menstrual blood and for men to use semen for the same purposes. I don't recommend that. All right. Meaning positive, strategic planning, a sincere apology, constructive criticism, reparations, confessions, lone wolves, and turning over a new leaf. Negative, cheaters, thieves, spies, saboteurs, victimization, hidden agendas, conspiracy, betrayal, deception, con artists, liars, imposters, sneaking away, users, shameful secrets, dishonorable discharge, unethical behavior, and people who pretend to be your friend. Lord, I feel like I just swallowed a pile of sand. There's not enough water. All right, Sag, that was your free extended. I hope you enjoyed it. If you missed the original reading, please check out the description box and click on over there and do that. And also, if you'd like that personal reading, hit me up. My books are clear right now, and your girl needs the money. So I would love to read for you. I'm back. All right. Love you, Saggies, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.